I stopped underestimating myself. After everything I've survived, this trust feels earned. I came across this quote on Instagram today from a page called We the Urban. And at 3:10 a.m., January 2nd, 2026, it really just made me smile to consider how far I've come and how I've evolved in terms of how I view myself and how much I trust my own intuition. I think it's something that I've always prided myself on, is my willingness to prioritize how I feel about something and not necessarily how it's viewed or everybody else's input. But at the same time, I also recognize that I used to struggle quite a bit with indecision, and I still do, but to a far lesser extent than I did before. But even separate from making decisions, because I think it's intelligent sometimes to loop in other perspectives when it comes to weighing a choice, right? Because I haven't seen everything. I haven't considered every single possibility, and sometimes it is helpful to hear what other people think. But at the same time, like reading that quote, right? Like, after everything I've survived, this trust feels earned, and I no longer underestimate myself. It just made me take a deep breath and sink into this feeling of gratitude that I feel like has really become an undercurrent for my life in recent years. And that's not to say I haven't had like extreme ups and downs at times, but it's almost like throughout the past 3 years especially, I've kind of been in this cocoon, at times self-inflicted, at other times, inflicted upon me from others, but obviously from like a loving perspective. But something inside of me knew that it was work that I was doing. So even if things went quiet, even if things felt still, I was always trusting the process because I knew just because you're not seeing activity doesn't mean things aren't happening, doesn't mean things aren't clicking. And I was even talking to my dad about this today, or I guess this would have been yesterday morning, about how, and we talked about kind of specific instances that maybe I won't share because they're not really my stories to tell, but I will say, when you ask God for something, right, when you pray for something, or when you really wish something would happen, and then nothing seems to actually be changing in your day-to-day, sometimes it's because like God is working on it and he doesn't really need you to be part of that process, or the things he's putting in front of you that don't seem related to your long-term goals are actually exactly what's going to prepare you to be ready once those goals finally arrive, once it's time to jump into this new venture, once it's time to take a leap of faith. You're going to be in the correct headspace. You're going to have had the right experiences that have shaped you and molded you and evolved you into the kind of person that's ready to carry something heavier and, have that high risk, high reward experience, right? So even though it might seem like on the surface, I'm facing all of these obstacles, or maybe I'm not really facing obstacles and nothing is happening for me and you don't really know what's going on, there's something so satisfying about just surrendering the circumstance to God or a higher power or the universe or whatever you believe in, right? There's something so beautiful and like safe in that feeling of knowing that despite the chaos, despite the turbulence, despite the up and downs, I'm going to take a deep breath because God's got me, or it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out. And having that faith, ultimately you can put that faith wherever you want it. You can label it however you like, but having that faith gives you so much peace of mind. And it's a skill, like I talk about all the time, especially when it comes to things of the mind. It's a skill. It's something that we cultivate. And even peace of mind is a skill that you cultivate. And people have different approaches for it, whether it's gratitude or prayer or meditation. But for me, I feel like something I really hang on to is that strong sense of faith that, and I don't even mean faith in like a, really normative, like religious context, but just like I am always unbelievably confident that everything is going to work out for the best. I am always 100,000% certain that no matter what I'm going through in the present moment, it's all working out for my greater good. The negatives are working out for my greater good. The difficulties are training me to be resilient. The difficulties are making me smarter. They're making me more expansive in my thinking. They're training me on problem solving. Because I'm so certain that everything is going to work out for me and that everything is working out for me and that frankly, even the worst aspects are all for a purpose. It's so much easier to still find joy in difficult times. Or even if I need to just freak out and say, that sucked, or rant and just complain to my mom about some situation, it's so much easier to bounce back after that conversation and literally let it go. It's okay, experience the feeling, completely release. And I feel like that's something that's a lot of people struggle with. And I definitely see why, right? You ruminate and you ruminate and you ruminate and you find reasons to be mad and you bring up moments in the past and you bring them into the present. And we've already had discussions about this in previous episodes, right? But ultimately it's I'm so proud of myself this year going into 2026 because I feel that the transformation, it's like knowing that you've closed the page on a really, really good book, or not even that, or it's a book, but it's obviously in a series of books or whatever. And so we've closed another chapter and it definitely was interesting, but I'm excited to see what comes next because as a character, I feel like I've evolved so much. Maybe not the most eloquently put today, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? There's just this deep sense of peace that I feel because I feel like I've been practicing and building that muscle of it always works out, it always works out, it always works out. And it's an attitude I've always had, even since I was young. But, facing certain, struggles during college and mental health issues and things like that definitely shook things a lot. But even beneath the episodes and the issues and whatever, it was still there. It wasn't as strong, but there was still that undercurrent of it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. And at times it would be so, so, so dark. But in the very, 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 very back of my mind, I kind of just knew it was true. But it was almost it was like a candle. It was flickering. And it was a candle flickering in the center of a storm. It was barely staying alight. But now, having been through the past 3 years of very intentional work on my mind, specifically spending so much time introspecting, spending so much time reflecting, spending so much time thinking, and not ruminating, but productively thinking about how to better myself, but not just in this gimmicky self-help way, but where I'm not looking for external things to validate that I am growing, but rather me being able to accept the world around me for the way that it is the proof that I'm growing. So it's not just about, I want to make I need 50 bands right now. It's not just about money or flashiness or cars or this or that or whatever, crossing things off a list. It's about, has Abby evolved into the kind of person that can handle anything? Has Abby evolved into the kind of person that can step into, whatever context or situation and put her best foot forward, help others, contribute to the space, and all the while keep her head screwed on straight? And I just feel I, for a long time, was that Barbie doll that was being played with by some kid, where the kid is pulling her hair out and cutting it off and twisting her head, and she's has dents all over her body. I just felt I was getting massacred, beat the shit out of, to be honest. And now it feels like I'm still that same Barbie, and the scars have healed, and my hair has grown back, and it's healthy again, and I don't look like I've been through, the 5 stages of grief, and the marker that was drawn all over my face has been rubbed off. I just don't feel like a mess. I feel so together, and not in some cosmetic aesthetic way, but just internally, I've never had a mind that's so clear before. And it's something that I'm just really grateful to have now, and something I'm really grateful that has evolved. And I don't really know what the purpose of this episode was. I hope it doesn't just sound like I'm just like gassing myself up, but like I guess it is kind of just like a pat on the back for me. But part of the reason I say it too is to let you know, like, I feel like when I was really in the trenches, and we can get into that in like other episodes, but when I was really in the trenches mentally, for whatever reason, like, it's just very hard to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe it's because literally everyone around me was also struggling so much mentally. And frankly, in the modern day world, like, everyone is like half the population has like legitimate like mental disorders. Like, it's not easy out here, you know? And even separate from that, people have like real life circumstances that are 1000% challenging. And so I feel like when I was really in the trenches, I never met another person who had really been exactly where I had been, who could tell me it gets better. Either they didn't know what I was talking about, had never experienced something like what I was saying, or they had experienced what I was saying, or were actively, is a better way to put it, were actively also very much relating to everything I was saying. And they couldn't see a light out of the tunnel either, because they weren't on the other side of it. They were still definitely suffering, definitely trapped in the rat race, definitely like struggling mentally, definitely having these racing, dark, suicidal, constant barrage of like horrible thoughts. And together it was just like me feeling powerless, and then like surrounded by other people who also felt powerless. And as much as I tried to like speak life into other people, and people would try to speak life into me, because that was, the beauty of my friendships at the time, for the ones that were, really sincere. At the same time, it's like you can only say so much when someone's like, yeah, I really want to kill myself. And you're like, same. Like, like, how do you convince your friend to like not be suicidal when you're also like definitely suicidal? Like, it was just like the blind leading the blind. I feel like is that an offensive phrase? I need to remove that from my vocabulary. But I think you understand what I'm saying. Like, it was just very difficult, because I feel like I literally never met someone that fully understood what it was like, who could tell me like, hey, just keep going. I promise you it gets better. Because no one had gotten better. Like, I feel like I didn't know about anyone that had gotten better. And that was what made it so difficult for me. But then I started kind of surrounding myself very intentionally with more like positive things on social media. So instead of it being like, very hilarious content, I'll give you that, like very hilarious but depressing content all the time, I was switching more towards like hope core, which I'm sure people find corny, but like genuinely just like uplifting quotes and like things that just make you reflect on like fond memories and like make you feel grateful for, the little mundane experiences of life that we take for granted. And over time, it was like baby step after baby step after baby step, and then meeting better doctors who would tell me about their patients who had been stable for literally decades. And even when they went through struggles, they would go and, maybe they get hospitalized for a bit, or they change their medication for a bit, or whatever it is. And then they bounce back and they go right back to being stable. But it's like, they literally just treat it like they treat any kind of illness. And for me, that was just kind of like revolutionary to hear about the fact that like, yeah, it didn't have to be this way. Like, I wouldn't have to live that way forever, because when I was in college, even while like technically receiving treatment, it just felt like it would never end. And it felt like I needed to end it. Like, it was so bleak. I don't even know. So anyways, I guess now you're getting maybe a better picture of like how things have evolved. So it makes more sense, like why I'm so grateful, literally just for the fact that like I can confidently say like I'm happy all the time. Like, my little sister asked me, I think this week or last week, she's like, are you happy? And I was like, yes, I am. And she's like, really? Like all the time? And I was like, yeah, pretty much, like very, actually. And several years ago, like that would have been like an extremely radical answer, and just like would not have come out of my mouth. And I think it's really important to celebrate moments where you notice a tangible difference in yourself, because I think it's so easy to steamroll past things, especially for people, which I'm sure if you're listening to this, you can relate, like people out there who are typically overachievers or just have very, very high standards for themselves. Whether they're overachievers or not, you just hold yourself to a very high standard. And when you're that kind of person, you set such ambitious goals, but even when you meet them, you're such an ambitious person, you already have like 10 more that you've already thought of. And so you have to remember to pause and say, wow, I did it. Like, I did it, whatever the goal was. And I think for me, like, peace of mind, and not just like peace of mind in the sense that I had that undercurrent of faith, but that has like amplified by a huge amount, but also literally just like complete clarity of thought, genuinely feeling happy, grateful, at ease most of the time. These are all aspects of my life that I prioritize so much, and I feel so genuinely grateful for. And it's something that I'm so excited to bring into 2026, because I don't think going into the years prior, I have felt anything close to this. Even as I've seen myself like kind of improve in certain regards, like I really just feel like I'm over the hump. And yeah, I guess this whole episode is just to say that if you're not over the hump, it happens and you'll get there. And there is stability out there, and it might feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and like it never improves, and that everyone you meet is struggling just like you, and so it just never gets better. But I genuinely promise you it does. And I don't even know if I would have believed someone if they told me this back then, but frankly, I don't think I ever really heard it from anyone, and so I didn't really get a chance to believe it or not. And so that's why I'm saying it, in case you are also in that position where you just feel like you're drowning and everyone else around you is like also, 6 feet under. Like, it gets better and you'll get there. And it's a muscle, and you'll keep exercising it. And it starts with finding joy in the little things, but it really starts with reminding yourself as much as possible that everything is working out for your greater good. Because I can even say confidently that even all of those dark times, I genuinely believe they all prepared me to be able to even deliver this message to you. Because I don't obviously know who I'm necessarily speaking to on the other end of this all the time, right? And I don't know whose ears this will reach. But ultimately, it's like I wouldn't be able to even make these podcast episodes or have the kinds of discussions I have with people where I feel like, they really walk away from our conversations changed, or having something new to think about that maybe unburdens them in some way. And it's something I'm really, really grateful for, like the ability that I'm able to even do that. Like, I'm so grateful to have that perspective, but it was an extremely hard-earned perspective because I had to live it, and it fucking sucked, like so bad. Like, I really cannot underestimate it enough. And I think because I am like a very naturally optimistic, like jolly person, like if I wasn't so open, I think, with people when I was going through things, no one would have guessed. Like, I would have been one of those people that they're like, but I don't understand, like they took their lives, but she was always smiling and so happy. Like, I would have been like textbook that if I wasn't just someone that was shamelessly like confused at like what was going on, and like being like, guys, what the hell is going on? Does everyone feel this way? And so because I was open about it, people were aware. But if I wasn't that kind of person, like I always seemed like jolly, like I just did not fit the picture of, like any mental struggles in that sense. And so, yeah, you really would have never known. But anyways, I say all this because, again, like the perspective is definitely hard earned. And just like, I guess, the quote that inspired me to make this podcast episode, yeah, I stopped underestimating myself, because after everything I've survived, this trust feels earned. And it was earned. And as difficult as it was to earn this perspective and this clarity of thought, and be able to kind of, hopefully point people in a direction that leads them to a better path, or a path where it's easier for them to see the light that's ahead, because it is there and you will get there, just like a moth to a flame. That's my wish for you in 2026. You're a moth to a flame, and you'll just be like led there without even, knowing why you're doing it or doing it on purpose or not. You'll just find yourself one day much happier than however happy you are right now. But yeah, it was worked for, and it was worth it. And I'm grateful for the bad and the good. And I'm grateful that, as usual, I'm always right. Like, everything works out for me, period. Like, sometimes you just, like, cannot take your life too seriously, to be honest. Like, life is easy and life is fun and life is what you make it. And because I tell myself that life is exactly that, even when it's exactly not that, I'm just like, can't let the bitches get me down. Can't let these haters get me down. Like, I'm still up. I'm always up. Don't ask how I am. I'm up. I'm great. I'm fantastic. So anyways, as usual, thanks for spending this time with me today. If you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, oh, Zeus, you're so cute. Lol, Zeus is wanting belly rubs. If you made it all the way to the end of the podcast today, I really encourage you to follow the podcast, turn on notifications wherever you're listening to this, YouTube, Spotify, whatever, so that you never miss an episode. And if you know anyone that you think would benefit from hearing this message, definitely feel free to share the word. It was so funny. I was complaining in the last episode that I recorded about how, like, it's so annoying that everywhere wants you to, like, post videos, and, like, why should I have to use video to promote a podcast? It's literally a podcast. Like, leave me alone. And then I found this amazing, because again, God listens to every word I say and he provides for me at every point. Yeah. So I literally discovered this, like, app that automates everything. So if you're seeing, like, any clips from this podcast on, like, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, whatever, and you're like, girl, didn't she just complain in the last episode that she does not want to have to post these clips? It's because, girl, all of that is automated. Who has time for that? Not me. Okay. We love technology. But anyways, yeah, aside from that, though, I feel like this podcast is definitely a labor of love. And so if you are enjoying it, definitely drop a rating, share it with a friend, and we'll grow it from word of mouth. Because if you are patient enough to get all the way to the end of this episode, I know you know someone else who has that kind of mindset too, because you're probably engaging in really interesting conversations, and that's why you're willing to listen to me for this long. But anyways, yeah, I'm trying to think what other things I should say in my spiel. You can find me, Live Lumani, on all social media platforms. My Live Lumani letters are hosted on Substack, but you can just kind of subscribe to the link. I think there should be a link somewhere where you can sign up for weekly letters, either on Substack or they just go straight to your email inbox. Blah, 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 blah. I'm tired of hearing my own voice. Thanks for spending this time with me. Oh, welcome to Live Lumani. If you're new here, my name is Abby. Love you so much. Hope this helped. Yeah. That's all, you guys. Bye. Mwah.